I'll have a go.
Good on you.
We don't know your name.
Susie?
Susie?
Susie.
Yeah.
Hi Susie, thanks for volunteering. Just that way. Put this arm on this shoulder. And what I'm going to do, I want you to use your strength to stop me bending your arm. And you don't do martial arts, do you?
I don't think so.
I'm going to try and... Yeah, right, that didn't hurt, did it?
Yeah.
You can take it. Now, I'm going to guide you through a process which makes it impossible for me to bend this arm, okay? I want you to do 3 things. 2 might be sufficient. Now, this arm, instead of using your strength, I want you to imagine it's like a bamboo. You know how bamboo's flexible?
Yes.
Very, very strong.
Very, yes.
Right. And the other thing is I want you to just bend your knees very slightly if you can do that. Just perfect. I want you to totally relax. Okay. And put your energy, point of attention out of your head to place 3 fingers below the belly button, below the down chin. You got that? Just relax completely. Imagine this is bamboo. Feel some changes here. Got all that? No, it's not going to go.
That's the power of the mind. That's how we can get out of one step. We don't have to actually do that one. We can do a pushover, couldn't we? If you're in somebody winds you up at work or whatever, and you have all the thoughts running through your head, you can become a pushover.
Same principle. Just to wrap that up. I've done that. We did used to work in schools. I've done that with a 7-year-old. Couldn't bend her arm. So imagine kids have been told they're crap or they're below average. What the hell? I'm sorry, I say this every time. What the hell does below average mean? It's meaningless. It just means they score something on a test. We work with these below average kids, the brightest bunch of kids we've ever worked with.
Honestly, wonderful kids, but
Fantastically
nobody could give them time
talented
and attention.
And their talents weren't measured by the school system. They were incredible.
And most of them have family problems, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think all of
Virtually
them
all.
actually.
That's the reason they were below
Yeah.
average, because of family problems.
Cellular memory.
They were very, yeah.
Cellular memory,
Very,
exactly.
you know, it's a very, yeah, a very tough area, wasn't it?
West Midlands,
Very
also,
tough.
parts of also.
Yeah.
And so that, we're taught in that process. And the change in these kids, just by that simple process. In other words, yeah, you think you're a pushover, and this one as well. You can do that with anybody. The head teacher of the school, unfortunately, the poor devil died a couple of years ago, was Mr. Charisma, Bob Spalek. I don't know if anybody heard of him. He was the over 40s world powerlifting champion. It was this wide. He's huge, he would struggle to get through that door. There was no discipline problems in the school if Bob came in.
It's a gentle giant though.
He was a fabulous human being.
Yeah.
And I tried this with him. I took a bit of a risk because his arms, his biceps are thicker than my thigh. He couldn't bend my arm. Now this is the same principle, because if you remember, Susie, I asked you to take your attention out of here. So if you put your attention in here, which I'm going to do,
Just become a pushover. So, you know, if somebody winds you up, they can still wind you up because you're just ready for them and you're going to take in their energy. But if you just center yourself,
and it's placed 3 fingers below the belly button. It's called the Dan Chen in Chinese Kung Fu martial arts. And it's halfway between the front and the back. It's the centre of our body.
Is that the lowest chakra?
I think it might be tied in with the chakras,
Yeah,
but
Somewhere about there.
it's perceived differently than a chakra. It may be the same place, I'm not sure. Probably is. Can't be certain. Have you got that? Yeah? No, it's a bit of a difference.
and it's a bit heavy, isn't it?
I'm
So
16
that's
now.
how you can just, within a split second, think, no, I'm not letting you take my energy. Bring it back around yourself. And you can deal with things better.
And if you're ever in situations of danger, please drop your attention. Because you send out signals. And if you drop your attention to here, you'll send out completely different signals. Right. We've already mentioned Alex Lloyd. It took him 12 years to find the stuff. He doesn't use the word channeling or a gift from God. He said there were no angels. He's a Christian, he believes in God, but as I say, that's not part of this. He said, I just wrote for 3 hours, I got through a pad that thick. He said it never happened before, it's never happened since, and that was in either 1999 or 2000. His partner, Ben Johnson, who's been on a film, a DVD called The Secret, which some of you may have heard about. He is a conventionally trained doctor. He's also got 2 other medical degrees. Ben Johnson was diagnosed in 2003 or 4, I can't remember which, with Lou Gehrig's disease. Have any of you heard of that? It's a form of motor neurone disease. It's devastating. If I were to, if you were to be diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, forget it. And when he met Alex, he was organising his life insurance to look after his family. He had seven kids and his wife when he was going to go. Because I think it's 5 years, 80% of people die after 5 years. After 10 years, there's virtually nobody on the planet. So we get diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, get your coffin organised, you know, choose the wood that you're going to have it in. Anyway, and it's regarded as incurable, and he thought it was incurable. Anyway, he used the healing codes for 6 weeks, nothing happened, or so he thought. And then 2 weeks after that, it all came in, and he's been symptom-free since 2004. So he's cured, in quotes, an incurable disease. But we can't use the word cure, so we'll say we're symptom-free. But Ben Johnson is as fit and as robust as anybody in this room. So how do you explain that? Healing codes. When we met Alex in London and he was interviewed, and all this is on our internet TV programme, or will be in the next few months, he gave examples of a famous wrestler in America. He helped get him over addiction. He was addicted to prescription drugs. A young man had, a woman had MS, she became symptom-free, and a young lad who was 12 years of age was symptom-free from leukemia. We personally have got 2 case studies. You just want to tell me about Yvette, and I'll tell about.
Yeah, we did a course at Carlisle, and this we had about 20 odd on, didn't we? 20 odd, 1-day workshop, and this couple that came were the last 2 that signed up. They came in last minute, and her name was Yvette and Peter. And at the break, I got chatting to her, and she said, "I've spent £2,000 in November on a 2-day course." I won't tell you what she said about it, but it didn't work, let's say that. So I said to her, well, you know, talked about the healing codes. Would you like me to work with you? Because she said she had severe anxiety. Would you like me to work with you? Because she was working with her husband, so I said, would Peter mind? And I said, no. So I did the work with her, and I could see her face changing. See the changes. I looked at her husband, who was a really big guy, and he was just tears streaming down his face. So I did 2 sessions with her, and then they were to go back and work in pairs, but she was too tired, so I said, don't worry, just sit there, just absorb it, just chill out and rest. And that was it, off they went. A week later, Saturday about 12:30, we were in the office, got a phone call with Yvette. She said, I can't tell you what's happened. She said, I just cannot. She said, you changed my life. Well, I hadn't. That had. I didn't know at the time she'd had depression for 22 years. And she'd spent over 100, very similar story to Alex's one, £100,000 and nothing had worked. And that happened almost instantly. That's not necessarily how it works, we don't know. Sometimes it can take months, we don't know, but with Yvette, it happens bang on. She'd also said to me that her mum was in her 80s and they were a bit like that, and that was upsetting her too. And I said, well, you will find, I'm sure, that once you start to change and your energy start to change, your mum will, you know, your relationship. So at that, and her and her mum are much, much better now. So Yvette's using that with her mum as well. She's also getting a course for us up in Newcastle because and she's got into the Spiritualist Church against all odds. And she's just so sold on this. So, you know, when you get stories like that and you see it and you know it, we know it works. There's been such a lot of background work done into this with the epigenetics and the Heart Math Institute, which Jack will explain to you in a bit. So there's been such a lot of research done. But as Ben Johnson says, they don't know how it works. They don't know. What Alec Lloyd says, the points on the head, that it's a light and each point will resonate with different areas of the body, different organs of the body. It's like just putting a fuse box on. And the beauty of it is, we don't need to know what the problem is, so you don't have to relive anything. As I said, you know, if people have intrusive traumas, if it's been abused, the last thing you want to sit there and tell people about is it. I know that. And just to get something where you give a number and you work with unconditional love, that's absolutely wonderful. And the numbers come down. Quite magically, the numbers start to come down. And you know, as those numbers are coming down, the today stress is going and the cellular memory stress is going. Sometimes we haven't got a clue what it's all about. Sometimes we do, but most times we don't. And we don't need to know. The work's done.
We do a demonstration, so some of these things that Anne's just gone through, and I will, you'll see it actually in front of you. The case study I want to quote is a woman whose name escapes me. She works at this coffee bar in Warrington. Jean, that's right. And she saw what we were doing. We were doing a drop-in healing place, using this as a drop-in healing centre. And she was listening to what I was saying to somebody, and she said, "Do you mind helping me?" I said, "Well, no, come over, no problem. Sit down." I said, "What's your problem?" I said, "You don't need to tell me, just score it on a 0 to 10, where 0 is no problem, 10 is the maximum." So she said, "No, I'd like to tell you, if you don't mind." So I thought, tell me. So the stress she was experiencing was caused by her, she was in her 70s, this woman, and her face was lined with stress, absolutely etched in her face. And she said, my eldest grandson died, he committed suicide 2 years ago, and she just couldn't get it out of her head, she was walking around with it. So I said, okay, and I know it's a 10, knowing the answer is a bit of a stupid question. What stress level would you put that at? She said 10. And again, you'll see this demonstrated. So I said, I'd like you to take your mind back now, when you have the same feelings that you're experiencing now with the death of your grandchild, your grandson, when you first experienced the same feelings. So she went back in her mind, and she went back to she was a young child. And her face started to change again. And she said, right, I've got it now. And I said, you don't need to tell me. So she insisted, she told me. But you can probably guess what it was. She was abused by her stepfather. Guess what stress level that was? 10. So I started to do the work, and I could see the face change. You'll notice this, whoever volunteers, you'll see their face change. The stress will start to drop out of the face. And she went from 10 to 0 in about 2-3 minutes, and I was nearly in tears. Whenever I recall this, I get quite emotional, joyful emotion, because it was so damn incredible to watch this. So it went from 10 to 0, all the lines just dropped out of the face. You must look 10 years younger. So right, that was cleared. So the next one was to work on the other stuff. And it all came back. As soon as she recalled, so the first thing was clearing the abuse trauma memory, that went. The second thing was when she thought about the death of her grandson, it all came back, her face went straight back to what it was. And of course, that went, another 3 minutes, all down to 0, all the stuff drained out of her face. And she shed just a few tears, she wasn't in buckets of tears, just a slight amount of tears. And it just transformed.
Well,
and she
I was watching this and it was really, you know.
And she came over later because we ordered some sandwiches from in this coffee bar, and she was doing this. I said, "Oh." I said, "What's the problem?" She said, "There's no pain there anymore." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "For 10 years I've been rubbing the pain away." Because there isn't any anymore. And that facial expression, that incredible facial expression stayed, didn't it?
Yeah, we went back week in, week out.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like a face, you know, so.
It made a vast difference to
But it did make a hell of a difference to you.
Yeah.
And what price would you put on that, letting go of those two memories? The death of your grandson, for God's sake, from suicide and childhood abuse.
I mean, it doesn't mean to say that you forget it,
Oh,
but
no,
what it
no.
does, you can still see it, but it doesn't hurt that as much. It doesn't hurt.
It takes the sting out of it. The reason why this has become accepted, there are two measures of the healing code. So, yeah, you've told us all that, but, you know, that doesn't apply to everybody. But what it does do, there's a thing called heart rate coherence, which I'm going to share with you. Have anybody heard of that heart rate variability? Yes, yeah. Epigenetics we've mentioned. The word epigenetics, epi means above. So epigenetics is about the science of the signal that goes into the cell. Do you remember the Human Genome Project some years ago? Why have you never heard of it since? Do you know why it was commissioned? Because if we find our genetic coding, what we will do, once we find faulty genes, we'll get a pill. But they didn't find any, the Human Genome Project didn't work, well, it worked to a degree, but they couldn't find any connection, this genetic determinism. In other words, the people we are all determined not by our genes, but by the signal that goes into the cell. So cellular memory is the defining mechanism of who we are, not our genetics. And that's the whole science of epigenetics. As already mentioned, sometimes it works instantly, sometimes it may take a few months. We've already talked about the doctor with it. Why don't drugs work? Well, I'll tell you why drugs don't work, because the body isn't designed to take non-organic material. And guess what drugs are? How could they not be non-organic? The reason why drugs are what they are is because they are synthesized. And because they weren't synthesized, they couldn't be patented. So you're putting into your body, if you take any drug, you're putting into your body non-organic material and the body can't hack it. So there's a side effect. That's why drugs have side effects. Quite simple, isn't it? And some of the proceeds of that book go to South American street kids. And I know that to be true, because if you met Alex Lloyd, if you thought that, if he tells lies, then I'm you know, Abraham Lincoln, you think of anybody, there's no way that man could tell a lie. I don't think the words could pass his lips. So a lot of the proceeds of the book go to South American street kids, because that's the kind of people we're dealing with here. Heart rate coherence, a healthy heart. The beat, your heartbeat, varies naturally. Beat to beat, moment to moment, your heart rate varies. It isn't continuous like a line, it varies. And the more healthy you are, the higher you have a thing called heart rate coherence. So if we shift into a different emotional state, if I were to change my emotional state now, my heart rhythms would change and my heart rate variability would change. If I shifted into a negative state, the heart rate variability would become disorganised and chaotic. We'd have a low coherence. If I get into a positive state, the rhythm becomes ordered and has a high coherence. Everybody follow that? And these can be measured. It's a stress test, the gold standard of stress testing in allopathic conventional medicine.
We haven't actually got the test, have we?
Yeah, we've got a little machine.
Yeah.
Cost about 200 quid. So it can be proved that the healing codes actually change heart rate variability, heart rate coherence. So that's why it's medically and scientifically valid. Now, it won't be, Jamie's just, do you normally have a break?
Yeah.
You do?
Is it
What
time
time?
for break now?
Okay. So we have a break at say at 8:45?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can play this, I can't remember James.
Yeah. I'll come on with a little cartoon that I put together. I'll come back to it in a minute. We need to do that as well. I'll wait till he comes back. Have anybody got any questions so far? Yeah?
This sounds so much like EFT to me. from what
It's
you
very
said so
similar.
far.
It's very similar, but what they've discovered, when they use heart rate, and thanks for the question, when they've measured people's stress levels after EFT, they found they've sometimes lasted a couple of hours and things come back. They found you using this, it's infinitely more resilient, it lasts far, far longer, and in some cases it doesn't come back at all. So as much as EFT is a wonderful process, and it is, this is far more powerful, far more lasting. That's what the research has shown.
This one's EFT.
Emotional freedom technique.
Yeah.
It's tapping various
Very, very good.
It's just, it reminds me from what you were saying, because when you talk to EFT, you talk that you don't have to know what the problem is. You score it,
Yes.
and then you tap on all the parts. From what you said so far,
It is very similar.
Yeah, no, we know a friend of ours used to teach EFT, so we used to get free session. But it's very similar, but to me, I think very different.
Right.
I'm a master trainer of NLP, and I've spent thousands of pounds. And some of the most. Have any of you heard of Tony Robbins? Well, that bloke's he's bought an island off Java somewhere. He's a billionaire. He regularly has audiences of 5,000 people. The bloke who taught him taught me. Now, I'm not likening myself to Tony Robbins, but I'm talking about the level at which I got to with NLP. And I didn't think anything could be better than NLP. Then I found theta healing. And I thought that was better than NLP. Then we found the healing codes. And this is better than theta healing. And And the reason, primarily, it works quicker, and you can learn it for the price of a book. PT only costs you slightly more than the price of a book. 800 quid to start.
What is it?
It's a similar process. It's about changing beliefs.
It's belief, yeah.
It's about getting into a certain brainwave state.
Yeah. Into the
It
brainwave.
works.
It's very good. It works. It doesn't go as deep. It doesn't go down into cellular memory. It goes quite deep. With all the beliefs we have, but it just does not get to the bottom of it. That's what we've found anyway.
I expect you're going to tell us, but is it mainly the remembering the memory that clears it, or is there something else going on?
What it is, imagine, I don't even know much about computers, but all computers are based on a binary system, you know, like on-off. So you can send a cable through a wire, it's either the circuit is on or the circuit is off, and from that comes computers. So what we have in our cells, there is a signal within the cell, in every cell, because we're like a hologram, the body's like a hologram. Every single cell, imagine an acorn, or imagine imagine when you came together to be, the size of the sperm and the egg. Yeah? The person you are today was in that microscopic, those two components. So your whole, like the acorn on an oak tree, everything that you require to be who you are was within those two components. So cellular memory was in there from your parents and so on all down the ancestral line. So what happens during our lifetime, back to the pain event thing, that cellular memory comes with you when you come into this life. But you acquire it during your lifetime. And unless you pay attention, unless every time you get to a problem, you can embrace that. And if you meet this person, show them to me, would you? So in other words, some stressful event occurs in life. Oh, bring it on. Fantastic, just fell down a flight of stairs. Oh, I've got to do it again. In other words, that's the way we program ourselves. So we end up completely with a lot of cellular memory, toxic cellular memory. The only way to change that is to release it through some kind of process. And the catalyst for this, the thing that releases the toxic cellular memory, is unconditional love. That's what does it, that's what clears it, as we will demonstrate. Right, I don't know what Jamie's doing, but I'm sure you can see on the internet. You can see this next thing on the internet. I'm just going to show you this. And then, if you like this cartoon, you can do it yourself for about £4. If you don't like it, forget it. It literally cost me about £4 to write this cartoon.
Hi, welcome to the Healing Revolution.
What is the healing revolution?
If someone told you that almost all the major concerns in your life were down to stress, you would be a bit skeptical, right?
Of course I would, and I am.
And it's obvious we need some stress to get us out of bed, to make life interesting and for the human race to evolve.
I know all that, but how can it help me with my depression and my wife's arthritis? How can it help my son's marriage problems and my daughter doing badly at work?
Do you value yourself and your family enough to spare me a few minutes to give you an explanation of all this, and best of all, a way to sort it out? Are you prepared to let go of a lifetime's conditioning, even brainwashing, to benefit from this?
Yes, you've got 10 minutes.
Did you know that our cells have memories? Patients who have had organ transplants regularly report taking on memories from the donor, and some have found their whole personality has changed.
Fascinating, I'm sure.
Cells aren't just a bunch of stuff that comes together to make living things. We have trillions of them. They are intelligent. They receive and give out signals. They effectively listen to our thoughts.
Go on.
Have you heard of Masaru Emoto?
Yes, he's my drinking pal on the Saturday nights.
I'll ignore that. He is a Japanese professor who discovered that water crystals can be changed by thoughts, music, images, and even prayer. Water makes up 80% of our bodies.
And how does this apply to me?
If we tell ourselves good things, look after ourselves, believe we are deserving of good health, good relationships, and we can have abundance, our cells will be happy.
This is a bit far-fetched.
Do you use the internet?
Yes.
Then check out everything I am telling you. Check out Dr. Bruce Lipton, former lie detector expert Cleve Baxter, and author Dawson Church.
As soon as you leave.
You would be amazed how many people believe they are worthless or undeserving of a good life. If we spend our lives overindulging in booze, junk food, prescription drugs and too much television, hate or resent others, carry grudges, think the world is against us and have a joyless and ungrateful existence, guess what happens to ourselves?
Serious damage, I suspect. But only a few people screw themselves up like that.
Are you stressed?
Is everyone?
We all are. The biggest problem is we don't know it. We can spend our lives unconsciously building up this unseen stress. Then, bang, we get ill, have an accident or become seriously depressed. And what do you think happens to our relationships, work performance and outlook on life even if we have no obvious symptoms?
I can guess.
Now for the science bit. Illness follows the breakdown of our immune system. Our immune system uses the biggest amount of energy in our bodies. Overloading the immune system is the quickest way to get ill. And how does this happen?
I'm hoping this is going to make sense.
Our nervous system is either in fight or flight mode, or healing and recovery. If it is in fight or flight mode, it cannot heal and recover. If we feel overwhelmed, we want to run away. If we get angry, we will probably want to fight. Have you felt your life was one kick after the next?
Yes.
So, if you are mostly in fight or flight mode, you feel tense, struggle to relax, need constant stimulation, and spend a lot of your time going nowhere fast. This uses an incredible amount of energy, and the immune system will eventually break down.
Sounds familiar.
We are all unique. Immune system breakdown will result in a whole range of different symptoms in different people. If your nervous system is in healing and recovery mode, you cannot get ill. The unstressed person enjoys life's challenges, gives over regular time to relax and unwind, has let go of resentments, believes they are deserving and worthy, loves themselves, experiences peace and joy, and their lack of ego is obvious.
I'm a long way off that.
Me too, but I'm taking steps to get there.
So, you are telling me that over our lifetimes, we come up against stressful situations. Sometimes we run away or hide, other times we get angry and fight. Most times we deal with them well. And if we allow ourselves to heal and recover naturally, we will never be ill.
Excellent. Go on.
What we don't know is the effect it is having on our bodies. And our bodies affect our minds. And our minds affect our bodies. We don't know what it's doing to our immune system. We don't know what it's doing to ourselves. But we do know ourselves are taking on our moment-to-moment thoughts and emotions, for better or worse.
Brilliant.
What about genetics?
I thought you would ask that. The media and vested interests tell us lies. Our genetic coding, our DNA is not fixed. Sure, we look like our parents, but the genetic element of an illness comes, yet again, from cellular memory, as opposed to some kind of collection of rogue genes, just waiting to give us cancer.
Hang on a minute. So you are still saying that what we take on from our parents has the potential to make us ill?
I am.
But I'm confused.
The mainstream media will tell you that we are born with a certain genetic coding, and that it is fixed. So the way to cure us all is to find out what effective genes we have, and give us a pill. What I'm saying, and the name for this science is epigenetics, is that our genetic coding is not fixed. It can be changed by removing toxic cellular memory. And when we change our cellular memory, our thoughts and our beliefs change too.
For the better. And our cells become toxic through stress.
You've got it. There's never been a pill invented that doesn't have side effects. And to quote Ben Johnson, nothing man-made can heal any disease.
So, we can heal our health and we can heal our lives by removing toxic cellular memory. Who is Ben Johnson?
The results from a process which treats cellular memory have been spectacular. The healing codes have been used to heal cancer, arthritis, depression, leukemia, insomnia, osteoporosis, panic attacks. The list is endless. Are you interested?
Tell me more. Tea or coffee? Biscuits?
Go to our website, thehealingcodes.co.uk, or the originators of the process, Drs. Alex Lloyd and Ben Johnson, thehealingcodes.com. On Alex and Ben's site you will find hundreds of case studies.
Thank you. It's amazing how wrong I was.
Give yourself a break. We are being brainwashed continuously. Please do your own research.